Right about 19 months into the life of the Tinubu administration, Nigerians are keen to see how much the federal government is doing in keeping up with its solemn promises and its renewed hope agenda for a nation that seemed to have been held hostage by the two major policies, namely removal of fuel subsidy and flotation of the naira. How intentional is the Tinubu poverty bailout program in cushioning the biting effect of the economic headwinds? Well, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation joins us now. Glad to have you join us on Prime Time.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's start this way. Section 14(2)(b) of the Constitution provides that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of any government. You cannot consider the fact that in reality, apparent reality, Nigerians are going through tough, horrid times as it is today. The question on the lips of Nigerians and world over, is it lack of resources to actualize the section, or is it the unwillingness on the part of leaders at all levels, including you, to do the right thing?
Yeah, like you rightly said, that's the main purpose of government. And for us in this regime, upon appointment in my ministry, and also the humanitarian ministry coordinates humanitarian activities across several sectors of the economy. So it's not just my ministry alone that coordinates humanitarian activities. But these are the key issues that we're doing right now. I'll take them one by one.
Okay. Let
me take the IDPs, who are most affected by the economic challenges that we have in this country. They're on double jeopardy. People who either are displaced by natural disaster, like people who are displaced by flood, or by insurgency, or by climate change, and several other factors that have changed their lifestyle and their human dignity. They've lost their human dignity in the course of doing that.
Yes.
Now, what are we doing with them? First thing we're doing is building their resilience. And to build their resilience, we want to get the IDPs to be productive. So we brought a new policy. We signed a bond, an agreement with NALDA. We're developing 10,000 hectares of land. Already we're creating cooperative by January for the IDPs. So we'll give them one person, two people will own 1 hectare. And each of them, 2 of them, which means that if we talk about 10,000 hectares, we're talking about 20,000 beneficiaries that were part of it, households. If you put 5,000 multiplied by 5% per household, multiplied by 20,000 households will benefit from this program, we're talking about 20,000 times 5, which means about 100,000 people in IDP will beneficiaries of this program that the president wants us to do. Very intentional. We'll provide input for them. We'll provide counseling services for them. We'll provide everything for them down to harvest.
Okay.
Already procurement has been done. Everything has been done for this, and we're on the process of making sure that we start with dry season farming in January.
Right.
for them. We'll offtake 70% of what they yield and give them the cash component. 30% they will own it as a food component. Yeah. They will now store the food in strategic reserve. And that's the food we're going to use to feed all the IDPs.
Okay, this is for the IDPs program.
Yes.
Let's talk about the National Social
Investment Program.
Yes. The President sent a bill to amend the social register.
Yes.
The humanitarian affairs has been mired in corruption. What's the update?
Now, the issue that my job was, number one, to come identify the issues that we have in the social register. First, the president wants transparency in the social register. The first thing we wanted to do was to identify the key issues. The key issue in the social register is that we need digital identity for everybody who will benefit from any social services that we're going to have on all our social safety nets. And we have 19 million households.
Good.
Multiplied by 5, we have roughly about almost 90 million people that are supposed to be beneficiaries of our social register. But out of this number, only 1.4 million have digital identity. So the president gave a directive: procure data capturing devices, meet with NIMSI, give them digital identity, harvest their account numbers where possible. If they don't have account numbers,
yeah, because I was going to talk about that. I mean, if
they don't have account numbers, then you create a digital wallet for them, an e-wallet for them. And with e-wallet, you can pay them and trace them using their BVN, using their NIN. So these are the two key issues we're doing, because you must not have an account number before you are being paid. But if once you have a digital identity, then we can track the person who has been paid. So the issue of traceability of people who have been paid. And there are two options. Either have a BVN or you have an NIN. And it's easier for us to go to the grassroots and create NIN than to go and create BVN. BVN, it means we must ask the banks to go to villages. And most of these places are people who are not bankable.
But the beneficiaries of this program, we're talking about unbanked people, people without social media accounts, and one was wondering, how do you even select them?
Now,
are the community heads in the villages?
This is a process of selecting people on the social register. You go to your community, you engage the community, you divide them into three groups.
Good.
The women, the youths, and the men.
Women, youths, and men.
Then you help them to define in their village what is called poverty.
Yeah.
They will define it. Then you define what poverty is to them, so that they will know what poverty is. Then you ask them
different from their own definition.
Yes, because sometimes it may be the same. Sometimes it may be different.
Okay.
So that they will know that poverty goes beyond not having food alone.
Yeah.
It could be education. You don't have schools. It could be sanitation. It could be health services. So it's multidimensional poverty. So you define for them. Then you now ask the community, they should list the poorest people based on the definition from the top to the lowest. They will list them and they graduate them. Then you now put a benchmark and pick the poorest people that fall on all these three names. If you appear among the youths, among the women, and among the men, then it means you're truly poor. Then you select this name. Then you go for validation.
Yeah.
The validation is what we're doing right now. That will,
presently?
Yes, that will go back and do a digital identity for you, create an e-wallet for you. And that's what we're doing validation now. For this, so that we're not just making a payment. Because with this, we'll verify that these people are households.
Do community heads play a role?
Yes, they play a role.
What role?
The role of creating awareness and generating the people, asking the people to come out so they can separate them into this group that you're talking about. Now, after you've done the digital identity and mobilizing all these things, before they will now mine this data from, because the social register is not, once you're there, you're not automatically a beneficiary. Because now the cash transfer office will now come in and mine this data, and they'll create criteria for selection. Because there are several forms you will fill.
And what's the criteria?
Criteria, for example, if I go to your house, first they will check maybe we'll check your house. What furniture do you have? The kind of furniture you score marks for it.
What are you fall into the bracket?
Yes. They will check your sanitation. Do you have a toilet? Is it shared? Is it this? Is it you don't have a toilet at all? There are criteria, there are scores for all this. What type of house do you have? Moat house? Is it zinc? Is it a thatch house? Is it, so they score all those points. And finally, they will rank these people. And after ranking them, they will pick the poorest of the poor and graduate them. So they'll start paying from the poorest downward. And that's the criteria they use for making these payments.
I learned that a woman and a man is usually selected from the community and they draw up a list.
Yes. But when we're talking about households, we don't take men as household leaders. We use women as household leaders.
Why?
Reason?
Because men are supposed to be the household.
No. For social services, women are the household leaders. This is the reason. If I give you can opt to marry 2 wives. Are you getting it now? But if I give a woman, each woman can be, women in Nigeria don't marry 2 husbands at a time. And they have their children. So if I pay a woman, she takes care of her family, including the husband. If I pay the husband, he may isolate the second wife or third wife But paying a wife, you're sure that you're taking care of the needy, because we're not addressing our main target are the vulnerable group, the children,
the young people,
and
the
women.
Tell us the difference between NASCO and the conditional cash transfer.
NASCO targets the social register. They own the social register. That's all they do.
Yeah.
So they go in, all those going to the villages, separating people into groups, ensuring that they have people who are women, youths, and creating all those criteria, capturing their data, putting into a register, and you have a social register. They own the social register is domesticated in NASCO.
Okay.
Now, the conditional cash transfer office, they come in to mine the data from this social register. Mark you, this social register is not meant for cash transfer only. Under normal circumstance, for health insurance, we're supposed to take the elderly from social register who are poor and give them social insurance. National Assembly, if they're empowering their people, they should come to social register, take the people who are poor from social register and meet their demand. Dangote and other companies, NMPs, all these people, they want social corporate responsibility. They come to social register, do that, and they should be handshake, and that's what we're working on. So that you don't have one person benefiting from several
areas,
interventions.
Yeah.
Because what we're having here is that you may go and give intervention to the same person. Conditional cash transfer will go and give him. National Assembly will go and give him.
Duplication.
Olumele is doing intervention, he'll go and do it. UB is doing intervention, he'll go and give him. Zeniba is doing intervention, he'll go and give him. And then, different companies they keep on giving intervention to the same person.
Okay.
But when you have a social register, we automate it, we create handshake account data, and we create transparency. Then we will have equitable distribution of the meager resources that we have, and the intervention will not spread across the people. And that's what we want to achieve.
All right. I know a 6-man panel with the coordinating minister as the chairman was established by the president.
Yes.
What's the update on that?
They've handed over their way to
because one of their major mandate was to carry out significant operational and financial audits to ensure accountability.
Yes.
Has the panel fulfilled its mandate?
Yeah, and they've handed over to me. So I've taken over full charge of all those services now. And I think they just raised their observations.
Yeah.
And I've taken note of all the observations, and I'm implementing all of them. One of them is the automation of the social register, of which that's what we're carrying, to ensure that we give digital identity to these people. Secondly, to make sure that there's transparency, and the data that's been mined from social register are the only people who are paid in the cash office. That we're doing already. And then to look at the other services like Npower and the rest. Because
now you have talked about Npower.
Now, but we can't touch Npower now, because those accounts were suspended for investigation by EFCC and the rest. And until they tidy up the investigation, we cannot withdraw money from those accounts, because those accounts are suspended and on the investigation. So the 500,000 that lost their job because of that, they're still lying fallow. I mean, 500,000 people lost. The suspension of Empower, about 500,000 people lost their job. Yeah, but we're constrained because this case under investigation, and accounts are under investigation. And we cannot tamper with those things. And we're waiting. Are they not speeding it up? As soon as that, you don't fast track, you don't go and tell, That's the ministry. Yes. You cannot go and tell the security agencies that are investigating that you should hurry up. So you are their mercy now, and those people are there. But we're sure, very soon, they should tidy up. I'm very sure. From the feelers we're getting, very soon they'll tidy up that, and once that thing is tidy up, the president is very optimistic that we should do that. This is one of the sticking points. But mark you also, we are looking at reforming the Npower also. Okay. Because we want to ensure that for every youth we're training, we link them to the market space. Yeah. And because of that, we're doing some pilot cases this January. I'll give an example. I was in Gag Motors in Lagos. I'll be visiting Innocent also, because
In
Anambra. Want to work with them. We have resources. I want to train young people across the country in auto mechanic.
Good.
But bring out the manpower from your companies.
The people to be trained?
No, these two companies now, the automobile companies in Nigeria, the local ones, bring out your manpower.
Okay, to use to train.
To train our young people.
Okay. Have they agreed?
They agreed. So we'll set up 6 training centers. We'll select 10 young people from each of those centers.
Okay.
We're anticipating 370 people across the country that will be trained in automobile alone.
Okay, that's interesting.
Now, who will train them? Who will calm them, the cost of camping, the cost of the training resources, the package for them to exit, and everything will be bought by my ministry.
So very soon we should start having people producing cars in Nigeria.
Not producing cars, but they can maintain those cars across the country. They can scan them, they can repair them, and then these companies would advertise them as their own maintenance agents in all the states. Okay. And beyond that, they can maintain other cars also, because the technology of scanning is similar. Yes. But it will give them the priority of these cars having penetration across the state, because most people don't want to buy some of these cars because they say that they don't have maintenance centers. Mm-hmm. But with the maintenance centers penetrating across the country, it means that they will have more market, and they will now build more resilience for them at the local market, and that's very important for us. We're doing that not just with them alone. We're doing it in energy sector, in agriculture, and several other sectors, linking the young people straight to the market.
I hope it's not just talking the talk. I hope the work will be worked.
I'll be on this same station in February ending, when we're through with the training. Okay. I'll be in this same station.
Good.
And I will part of the lecturers. I will lecture in renewable energy myself.
Okay.
I will part of the people that will lecture on the renewable energy.
In January.
Yes, we'll be expecting me in February and January.
February, okay.
Yes.
I said January.
Yes.
So you're going back February.
I'll come back.
Okay.
But we'll end the program in February ending,
okay,
when we tidy up all the training.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying, that by then, I'll still come back here. But I'll ensure that while I'm on the field,
we will know what you're doing.
We'll do a live streaming for me teaching them.
Okay, good, fine. Now, before we let you go, often asked is the question of seeming imbalance between states. Some states seem to have more beneficiaries than others. I'm sure you've
Yes.
Why?
This is the issue. When you're working, you work with state governments. So it depends on the level of preparedness of the state government. For example, you sent a request to the Planning Commission of the state. They are supposed to link up with us for this program. They're supposed to provide the staff in the local government that will interact and take us to those communities. Now, when the state government doesn't provide those logistics,
that's a problem,
of reaching out to the communities, because our staff are supposed to be there, but they're supposed to move them to those locations, because we don't know the locations, we don't know the communities, we don't know the villages. So all we know is that we have the map of the country, we have wards, we have villages, we have these communities, but we link up with them for operational purpose. And there are state governors that have done better in terms of mobilization, in terms of reaching out, in terms of, so he ended up having more people who are participating.
We'll leave it there, Minister.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much
for being here.
Thank you so much.
And discussing with us.
Thank you so much.
We expect to see you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, that's it for this edition of Prime. All right, it's Prime Time. Do join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Goodbye. And then, of course, thank you for watching.